How you doing?
Can y'all hear me?
Yep, we got you, brother.
All right, all right.
Yeah. Oh man, it's awesome. You're on the field, brother.
Oh yeah, definitely, definitely, definitely.
Yeah, that's awesome. Coach, I just want to get into. I don't want to keep you too long. I know you're at practice right now. I just really want to go into this matchup against Buena. They had a great performance against Tucson High. What's the game plan going in, especially making sure you can control Lujan with the defense?
So we've been playing them the last 5 years since I've been here. Our plan would be the same. Stop the run. They're a heavy run offense. They got a really good back, like you just mentioned, and then they had a good one last year too. So our game plan is usually the same. Stop those running backs. You usually got a good chance of stopping their offense. So if we can minimize the gain from their running back, I think we'll be fine on defense.
Awesome. And Miss Morales?
Hey, Coach. How you doing? Congratulations so far in the season.
I
What
appreciate
do,
it.
what do you think is going to be the key to this game as far as you know? They have a great set of athletes also, and you guys do too. So, what do you think is going to be the difference for you guys to win this game?
I think of our defense, the performance our defense is coming off last week. Holding that team to 7 yards. Our front seven played very, very well. And like I told them, for us to be a good defense, we want to do that week in and week out. So here's another test for them to see if they can do it again. And like I told them, they rely heavy on their run game. And if we can get in there and disrupt their run game and force them to do something they don't want to do, I think the favor's in our hands.
Awesome. Coach, I want to go back to week one. You guys had a battle against South Point that ended in a close last play of the game. How have your guys responded, and what was the message to them? Because a lot of teams with a performance like that being so close could have easily taken it into the next weeks.
Oh, definitely. And the one thing I've been preaching to them all off season is finding our own identity. Coming off the type of season we had last year, we've been trying to find out who we are, what we're good at. And I believe defensively, we're very, very good. And our defense played well that first game. On offense, we're still trying to figure out how do we move forward without having that guy Des Bryant. I mean, not Des Bryant, but Desmond Roebuck we had last year. So we're still trying to find ourselves on offense, but I think we're starting to find our footing. You know what I'm saying? Each week, we have a different receiver putting up some good numbers. So I think we're trying to find who we are on our identity on offense. But I think on defense, they know who they are. They was good last year. They're back again. So I think we're gonna rely heavy on our defense and our offense. We're just gonna keep making plays each week.
Awesome.
It's just talk about your defense, Utley, and some of the other guys that you have there. Some veterans, Gregory Webb, right? Just talk about how they're performing and what you feel like maybe some things need to be worked on there, or do you feel like they're playing with their capability?
I think right now they're playing right where I need them to be. The biggest thing for me right now for them is being consistent. Can we do it another week? Can we do it again the following week? You know what I'm saying? I don't want them to just be good for one game. I want them to be good, week in and week out. So I think for them it's just being consistent. And then, outside of Greg and Hayden, we have, the two sophomores in the middle with Jeffrey Smith and AJ Rocha, and then we got Wyatt, and then we got Justin Elder. That front seven is stopping the run at a very, very high, a very good pace. And I'm gonna keep pushing them because like I told you, I want them to be able to do it every week and not just one game. So I think if we can go into this week and stop this high power offense, I think, we looking up, so going into region play, being able to do what we did to CDO last week, I think this week the defenses they licking their chops, and this team I think do have really good weapons on offense and on defense. They got athletes all around. I think it's gonna be a good game just like it was last year. But I give the edge to my defense because the defense has been playing really well the last week, and like you said, since last year. And I think they don't get enough credit. And I told them ain't nobody gonna give you credit until you go win something. So they gonna just keep putting up numbers.
Incredible. Quarterback Colton Myers. Talk a little bit about his performance, how well Sean Roblock and him have been playing this past few weeks.
Oh, they've been playing well. And as I keep telling my quarterback, for us to be really, really good on offense, we have to share the ball. We got good athletes at all of our receivers with Jackson Sharp. We got Jesse Howell. We got Darren DeWitt at the slot. And we got Sean Roebuck. And then we got Jeffrey Smith at the running back. We have weapons everywhere. And I'm like, use them. We can go left. We can go right. We can go deep. We can go short. use them. You know what I'm saying? I think for us to be successful on offense, we have to utilize everybody because each one of those receivers and the running backs, they carry a set of skills that each one don't have. So I'm like, we have to use them, and you never know what game we gonna need who. You know what I'm saying? Like, it might be a game where we have to rely on our running back Jeffrey Smith, or it might be a game where we have to rely heavily on our receivers, and our O line plays a big part in that too. You know, us being a pass first offense, so my thing for them is, try to be consistent and keep spreading the ball to everywhere. And I think right now we've been doing a really good job of spreading the wealth with everybody. And then, like I said, each game you have one receiver that is just go off. I think first week, Jesse Howell went for 3 touchdowns. The next week, Sean Roebuck. And then last week, I think Jackson Sharp went for 3. So I think him just keep spreading the wealth, I think is helping us on offense.
I just had one question about Jeffrey Smith, the third. I don't think people don't talk about him enough. I know he's only a sophomore, but when I saw him play last year, I thought he was even a junior or senior, but he was only a freshman. Leads your team in tackles by far with 40, leading rusher with over 220 yards rushing.
Yeah.
One of your top receivers too. I mean, just talk
Yeah.
about how, and this is a big guy. It's not one. It's not. He's got some size on him. Just talk about how
Yeah, he about
what kind of football
I
player
think he
he
about
is.
185 pounds, 190. I think he about 190 as a sophomore. And he's one of our young guys that's stepping up to be a leader, and he plays a pivotal part in our offense. Running the ball, catching the ball out the backfield. You know what I'm saying? Like you said, he's leading in catching the ball, receiving, and then on defense, he plays right in the middle. But I think those veteran presence that he have around him with Hayden Hudley and Greg, I think they're bringing him in nicely, and he's still trying to find his footing on defense. He's just a really good athlete, and I think people gonna start taking notice him after the season. They're gonna realize, dang, they got a really nice running back and linebacker over there. So I think he's still young. He's still learning some things, just of the game, but we rely on him heavily on the backfield and on defense. So he's been doing well right now. The biggest thing for him now is getting himself in game shape, going on both sides. You realize that is very, very tiring. So I think he's getting used to going on both ways because sometimes he's like, Coach, please give me a series. You know what I'm saying? I'll take him out. But I think he's starting to get himself and finding his footing and getting him some game shape. So I'm just excited what he's going to do the rest of the year.
Awesome. And coach, just one last question. I asked this when I was over there for the media day. Do you still think you can take your O line and D line in basketball with the coaches?
Oh, yeah. Any day of the week, man, I think I could take them guys. They give me a hard time when we in PE every day. But I told them after the season, I'll probably take a few of them, one-on-one. But they always give me a hard time. They think I'm not an athlete no more. But I told them once an athlete, always an athlete.
That's awesome. Well, hey, thank you, coach. Good luck this week. We will be there. That is our D's Barbershop game of the week, and I'm excited to watch.
Oh, thank y'all, man. Appreciate y'all having me on.
Awesome.
Good
Thank you,
luck,
coach.
coach.
All right.
I gotta say, Coach Stewart's an amazing coach. That is the first
He
coach.
is.
Yeah, that is the first coach to ever open his door for me to cover his guys, and I always appreciate having him on. One thing I do want to get into, and to start off the show, what were your biggest upsets of the week, most surprising victories?
Of last week. Um, there was the surprising teams. Desert View's 4-0. They they handled Mountain View, who's down a couple of defensive players, including Jason Pogue. Flowing Wells beating Maricopa in overtime behind Benicio Ruiz. He had completed 7 of 8 passes for like 90 yards, rushed for like 80, and made 3 extra points, which proved to be the difference because they won 29-27
Yep.
in overtime. So I think more of like these teams that are emerging and staying undefeated. Push Ridge continues to roll. I don't know if there per se there was like one huge surprising game that result that happened, but I look at some of these teams that are having success, and it's good for Southern Arizona.
Yeah.
Because Desert View's had their struggles. Flowing Wells definitely has had their struggles. Push Ridge hasn't, but they continue to roll. So I think the more teams like that we're talking about, except for like South Point or Marana, if we can talk about other programs, that'll make it around here very much Southern Arizona very much more of a high school football area. Sunnyside, maybe Sunnyside over Mountain View, the way they are able to control the line of scrimmage there. We have talked before, but Sunnyside has size on the line, so I think that came into play because Mountain View has a tremendous defensive line. So I think Sunnyside probably went over Micah Mountain is probably the most surprising
Yeah,
outcome.
that's awesome. And then with that being said, who were the best three individual performances of the week?
Well, our player of the week, the Jets, the APS Digital Froggenfurken player of the week was Jaylee Abraham. He had 222 yards rushing on 18 carries against Mountain View. I did see tape on it, and he has some serious moves, and he has some strength. He can carry like 2 or 3 tacklers with him after first contact, and he's only a sophomore.
First full year on varsity.
Yes, because the last year he played on the freshman JV team. Came up like toward the end of the year because he played against Sunnyside when Desiview beat Sunnyside there in overtime. So he was really good. Lujan, you guys saw him over there.
Yeah.
Lujan, you guys saw him there at Sierra Vista. He had another 200-yard plus game. He's incredible. He surpassed 2,000 career yards. He's a senior, so you might be thinking, well, that's only like 500 yards a year, 4 years, right? But he played behind Andres Bonilla the last 3 years. He wasn't the feature back. So for him to get 2,000 yards, being mostly a backup, is really amazing. Let's see some other big ones like trying to think.
I'll throw in there Colton Myers. Man.
Colmeyer, yeah.
He looks like he's calling Kaepernick, Peyton Manning out there, man. He's throwing for yards and throwing in some rushing as well.
Yeah.
That would be one of my top picks. And, I want to throw in Noah Chavez too, man. Even though they didn't get the victory, he was out there playing with a lot of heart.
Yeah, and he had a great game the week before because he was the player of the week. Benicio Ruiz, we talked about him already before. He had one of the better games. Really is like he could be the MVP because without him, I don't know if Flowing Wells is not only undefeated if they win a game.
And he's a place kicker as well.
Yeah, and he's a playmaker as a quarterback, and he's accurate with his throws and he can run the ball. So and they have a good offensive formation there at Flowing Wells. Brian Hook has an offensive background. It seems like they're not letting him just throw like 40 passes a game. They're keeping it under control with him and letting them running balance it out. So I think they're handling it the right way. Yeah.
That's awesome. Now let's dive deep into some of these games. Let's talk about the Desert View and Mountain View matchup. What really happened to make Desert View get this victory against a potential playoff team when we started the season?
I think the Ryan Vasavilbaso was really good. He only had 2 incompletions. He threw 18 times, 200 yards. Very efficient. They played him and Godoy. They have a 2-quarterback system, and Godoy was also on point at 8 of 11, 112 yards. So their passing game complemented their potent running game with Abraham. So they're very balanced. Which is going to cause defenses trouble. They cause Mountain View's defense trouble because Mountain View usually has a good defense. They're down a couple players, like I mentioned. So that's what stuck out to me is that Desert View was just able to have the bigger plays, and then Desert View's defense shut down Mountain View's passing game. They only had 1 completion the whole game.
Yeah.
They had a great running game, Mountain View. They had Drake Davis is another super sophomore. There's a lot of great sophomores in Tucson. We talked about Smith at Marana. He's a sophomore. Abraham's a sophomore. Drake Davis, he has about 400 yards rushing. He's a sophomore at Mountain View. So and there's more. There's quite a bit more.
The future's looking bright for Southern Arizona football.
Yeah, a lot of good ones. And then Ian Bryn, the quarterback, he rushed for over 100 yards. But the passing is really what we talked about before. They have to get more balance to be a serious threat in some of these games.
Yeah, and then they'll play Cienega. Both teams are 2-2. Let's go into this matchup. What do you think the keys to victory for Cienega versus Mountain View?
Cienega just has to play their normal defensive game. They're a good defense. They have a couple of great defensive players like Andre Davis Lopez, the defensive end. He has at least 15 sacks this year. He's just been going off with his sacks. So he's going to put pressure on Mountain View's quarterback. But what Mountain View does is they do a lot of motion with the quarterback. They have them roll out or do reverses, so they're going to try to avoid him, and they do quick passes. So I think that can try to offset Davis Lopez, but I think you have to be accurate and you have to be able to make big plays against a defense like Cienega. Cienega's come on after losing their first 2 games. They've looked really good. They beat Armwood Ridge, and then they routed Nogales, which was expected. But I think I like their chances going up to Mountain View, because I think their 2 games they lost were against Buena and ALA Gilbert North.
Two playoff teams right there. So their losses have been against great teams.
Right, and they took Buena to the last play, and they lost to ALA Gilbert North, but they lost 25-0. It wasn't like 59-0. So they were in it for the most part. They probably had a chance in the fourth quarter still, or at least into the third quarter. So that's a good team. Justin Hargreaves has a good team. I like their quarterback, Hanley. He's a senior leader. Does it all. He's not the biggest quarterback, but he's probably one of the toughest. He's hard to tackle, and he makes good reads, and he's very accurate.
Cool. And once this game's over, what's the storyline going to be? Which team's going to be over 500 after this?
Between those two?
Yes, sir.
I as much as I like Matt Johnson and Mountain View, I think Cienega, just from what we just talked about, they have a good track record in their first 4 games, even though they lost the first 2. I like their chances going up against Mountain View, especially with Jason Pogue out there. That's Mountain View's top defensive player, and if he's out, it's gonna hurt them.
Do we know what happened to him, or?
It was I believe a leg injury, and he had to he couldn't even practice, or he couldn't be around the team for a while. So it was somewhat serious. The first couple weeks of the season, he had an injury.
Yeah. And we'll go straight into another game that passed this week, and also to the matchups they have for this week. It's Sunnyside versus Micah Mountain. I remember being at Buena seeing this, and I'm like, oh my goodness, Sunnyside's about to do this. Let's go into that matchup. Tell us a little bit about what happened.
This was one of those games where Sunnyside had to win to kind of prove something, and that's what Thomas Romack said. He got the monkey off their back, because they get to this point, and then they lose a game, and then it just like falls apart. So now they won this game. They're 3-1. They have some winnable games ahead of them. They have a huge game against Desert View in 3 weeks.
We will definitely be there for that one.
Yeah. So they won this game because of their defense. They limited Cienega. Cienega's offense has struggled the last couple weeks in their losses. So Sunnyside was able to do the job to hold them to 10 points. And they have a good quarterback, like we've talked about before. Duarte, he's a senior. He's a dual threat also. So he's someone that can lead Sunnyside to some wins. They have some good role players there that overall have really been effective for Romack. So it's more of a team thing with Sunnyside. They have guys that they don't have one guy that is a clear standout. They have guys that are all good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So then we'll go into what happened with Micah Mountain. Mountain's offense has not been there for the past 2 games, only scoring 1 touchdown last week and 2 the week before that. Who are the people that need to step up, and what's the key for Micah Mountain to get back on track? Because after they lost their losing streak, they're in their first skid in 2 years.
Well, their defense has always been solid, so they probably have a lot of stress on them because the offense hasn't been as effective as it has been in the past. So I think it's more of like the offensive line protecting the quarterback who had a lot of interceptions.
Micah Mountain had 1 interception against Sunnyside, and they could not get their throwing game at all, only having 55 yards per the game.
Yeah, and they have some good athletes. I mean, Riley Carson is one of their receivers, but they're showing signs of their graduation on the offensive side. The defensive side has really held up, but they can't get the offense going, and at least consistently against some good defenses. So that's going to be a challenge for them whenever as they get deeper in the season and trying to make the playoffs. How's their offense going to score? Because their defense can only do so much.
Yeah, and they're getting a little bit of an easier game. Not saying anything negatively about Saurita, but they're 1-3. This is a game that should hype them up a little bit going into the rest of the season.
Yeah, in past years you might think it might be a blowout, but Saudita's good under Jake Allen. They're 1-3, but they've been competitive in their games. So if I'm Micah Mountain, I wouldn't count it as a sure thing. And it could be one of those games that goes in the second half and it's so close because Sauditas they're 1-3, like I said, but they've lost to Wallen Grove and they they went to Nogales after Nogales was 2-0 and just handled them, like brought them back down to earth. Yeah. So and I like Jake Allen as a coach. Their quarterback has been hurt too, so that's an injury too to keep your eye on. Martin has been out, so um, it'll be a tough game for Saudi to go to Micah Mountain to win, especially Micah Mountain coming off two straight losses, and they're finally playing at home.
Yeah.
So they've played on the road the last 3 games, so they're finally home after a month, so they're ready to win.
Let me ask you this. What's been the biggest surprise out of these two teams? Mountain View being 2-2 or Micah Mountain being 2-2 at this point of the season?
Probably Micah Mountain being 2-2. I mean, even though they lost a lot of seniors, they have a great coaching staff.
Yeah. And
They had some great athletes.
The
come
way they
back.
started off too, we were talking
Yeah.
about it. It looks like their B team from last year is just as good as their A team for a little bit.
Yeah, we didn't. I thought they didn't skip a beat in the games I saw them. They went up in CDO and won by 30 points. So to win their first 2 games, but yeah, and Mountain View is 2-2, which they because of their injuries and the way they haven't been able to throw the ball. I think that's still something they're going to hold on to. They can still play for a winning record, and who knows if they did it. They have played a somewhat of a tough schedule, so that could help them with points
Yep.
down the road.
Right. And we'll go straight into. For me, I was thinking Red Mountain was probably going to get the victory. I did not think it was going to be what it was. We'll go to South Point versus Red Mountain. They could not get the offense going, and it really looked like it was coming from the quarterbacks a little bit.
Yeah, he had Matthew Avalar had one of his tough games. He's been playing so well. You can only, I mean, it's hard, especially going on the road and playing well every game. He had a tough game. RG Gorey is really one that stood out with eight receptions for 66 yards, but they really didn't have very much. I think they got down early, and it really just kind of affected them. It's going to be key to see how they bounce back. Going to play ALE Creek, who is 0-4.
Yeah, 0-4, but like we talked about, they've had some close games against some really good teams.
Oh yeah, they lost to Mesa Red Mountain, who just blew out South Point. They lost by 3 points over at Red Mountain. So I'm sure the coaching staff there at South Point has stressed to them, okay, we're playing 0-4 team, but that's not an 0-4 team.
Yeah, their record doesn't speak for what talent is on the field.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah. So what adjustments other than the quarterback, what else do you think they need to do? Do you think it's more of a defense thing or more of like an O-line defense trying to block more so those rushers can get in and out?
I think it's O-line. I think it's because of their running game has been inconsistent. They looked like world beaters against Tucson High, especially Chris or Cheney. The way he ran the ball, he ran for over 200 yards, but he hasn't really done anything since the last 2 games. So they need to get that running game going again, get some pressure off of Avalar. Because I think that if the defense knows that you're going to be passing, they're going to drop back. They're going to put pressure on the sides, or they're going to blitz, and I think that's where it really becomes tough for Avalar if they know they're not going to be able to run the ball well. So that's what they need to concentrate on.
Yeah, definitely. And one team that it's funny when you watch them, it looks like they're the king of comebacks for a little bit, but they just can't get the last play. They can't get the last finish. It's Tucson High. Tucson High versus Bueno was an amazing game. Lou Han is incredible. Noah Chavez did really well too, but Bueno got the victory, and Tucson High is now 1-3. One of the things I was not expecting this year.
Yeah, that's because of the way they finished, and they were they had made some history last year with winning the first playoff game since '71, but they too have played a tough schedule. So I mean, their losses have been to South Point, Buena,
Mountain View.
and Mount. Well, they lost to Mountain View when Mountain View was fully healthy.
Yeah.
So those are 3 tough games. and now they're going to getting close to their region, and then they're playing in a little tougher region this year. So we'll see how that goes. I have a feeling they're going to turn it around, especially with some of the talent they have.
And they're not getting an easy task. They'll go against Vista Grande, which is 2-2 this year.
Yeah, anytime you go to Casa Grande, that bus trip, it's not easy.
No, it's not.
Even if it's Casa Grande or Vista Grande. So Vista Grande is they've struggled though. So I would expect Tucson High to go in there and win, and get back on track, coming back home.
Yeah, I really think their defense, we've heard it from their coaches before when we were watching them in their huddle. Their defense needs to step up a little bit. But for Vista Grande, what would be the keys to victory beating Tucson High?
Try to contain Chanez, because he's been the key, right? Whenever he has a great game, Tucson High plays really well. And they finally used him. After the South Point game, they didn't use him that much, and they switched it up, and he had a monster game, and they won. So I think for Tucson High, they need to use him as much as possible out of the backfield, get a running game going, and what Vista Grande has to guard is against him getting his yards, because once he gets free, once in the open field, he's hard to catch and he's hard to tackle.
Game over after that.
Right.
That little guy can run.
He can, and he's a difference maker. He can sway the outcome of a game.
Yeah.
He's that much of a talent.
Yeah, and I also want to give props to Derek Mesa, who's having an incredible year. Had a great performance last week as well, going 20 for 38 with get ready for that horn, dude. 383 yards and 2 touchdowns as well. So he's having a great year so far. He's hitting that a lot now. He's back doing that. He's had great performances, but like I said, I think it's really the defense that needs to step up.
Yeah, and they have some guys on the line that are good. Romero, right?
Yes, sir. Dominic Dro too had 13 tackles as well.
Yeah, he's one of the better linebackers in the state. So they have some guys that they can rely on. They just have to get it together.
Yeah, and going to teams that need to get together. Ironwood Ridge is 0-4. They played Casa Grande. They lost by 1 point. What really happened is Harder, the quarterback, looks like he had a decent game, going 14 for 23, 358 yards with 5 TDs.
Yeah, and he's a sophomore. He's one of those sophomores that are really going to be a difference for around here. And he was so good that the Ironwood Ridge coaches have gone to him instead of Julian Martinez at quarterback, and Martinez is a senior. And Martinez had a great year last year. He was the reason why they won a lot of games. But yeah, they're 0-4, and I think their losses from last year really hurt them. They lost some leaders from last year, so I think that's where the problem is, and where they're trying to develop guys to step into that role. And it's going to be one of those years for them. They already know that. So I think that's part of the reason why they went for the sophomore at quarterback instead of Martinez.
I got a little hope for you guys. I'm cool with the head baseball coach, so.
Oh, there you go. Yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, they'll play CDO. CDO is looking to come back from playing Marana. That's never an easy thing to do. Who've been the guys from CDO that we could look out for who can make a statement in this game?
Well, they've had a trying schedule as well. I mean, so they're not as, their record might not be indicative of what kind of team they are. I think let's see, their quarterback Peyton Strang is somebody that could really lift them if he continues to develop. Overall they have guys that they're more of like a team type thing. You don't really see a huge standout at CDO like we have in past years. So I think that's I think because they've had some guys on defense that have been really good, and none of the current players really have that kind of a name yet. So I think they still have to establish themselves.
Yeah. And then speaking of a team that looked like they established themselves but had a little rough patch in the last 2 games, the Catalina Foothills. They will play Pueblo. Pueblo got their first victory. Let's talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, Pueblo finally posted some of their stats too from the year, and they're 1-3 now. So we know that their quarterback is Roman Otero, and he had a good game, 2 touchdowns, 117 yards against Copper Canyon. I don't know how good Copper Canyon is, if good at all, but to get that win, first home game for playing on that new turf. Have you seen that new turf?
Yeah.
It's amazing. It has a huge Pueblo logo in the middle of the field.
Yep.
I think you can't make too much about that because that must have been some uplifting for them after no 1-3 start, come home, play at home, and play on that field, play in front of the home crowd, and then they get to play at home again. So
Do you think they have enough to beat Catalina Foothills?
I think so. This is a tough stretch for Catalina Foothills too. This is their third straight road game, and their last week's road game is at Snowflake, which takes
4 hours to get to.
4 hours to get, and then they have to come back. And I've been told going long distance and after a loss coming back is like the worst.
Oh, try losing the state championships.
Yeah,
Hit that trombone.
so they had to deal with that. So yeah, and we saw them against Push Ridge a couple weeks ago. They were down 7-0 at halftime. Then it just the bottom fell out. They were outscored 28-0. I think their defense had some troubles holding up, and then they allowed 42 points to Snowflake. So this could be one of those games in the fourth quarter. It could be really competitive, a close game.
Yeah. Then out of all the teams that are playing this week, who are the ones that are in the must-win situation? Like you have to win to make sure this season doesn't go the way it could go.
I think teams like Micah Mountain, like Sell Point, teams that we generally expect to win. They've been losing lately, or the South Point at least lost last week. I think you look at the Saguaro Sabino game. That's a rivalry game. The East Side. A win for either one of those is a huge win.
Yeah, I mean, if Sabino wins, they're 4-2.
Yeah, and they started out 0-2, so they're really playing well. Bodie Sanford is really come on. Another sophomore quarterback, another one of those super sophomores. And Saguaro's come on too. They won a couple games in a row. So, or actually, they're 3-1. So
Saguaro is Saguaro is, it says 2-2 right here.
Or 2-2.
Yeah.
So they've come on though. They've played well the last couple of weeks. They went into Saudita and won last week. This is a huge rivalry game. I think Saguaro finally won last year. They lost like 3 in a row. But yeah, I think either one of those teams need a win to get it, to keep rolling. You look at some of the 2A teams, 3A, because we talked about 3A, but some of the 2A teams that need wins include like Tanca Verde, who had a big win last week, went on the road, beat Trivium Prep, who was they were undefeated. They were 4-0, and Tanca Verde went in there and won 38-0. So I think Tanca Verde is now 3-2, so they need to keep winning. As we head now, we're going into that hump of the season.
Yeah, now you're trying to figure out what kind of team you're going to be.
Yeah, so those are some of the teams that really need to win. I think Cienega too. This is a game they should win. They haven't really been in a game like that.
Yeah.
Except for Nogales last week.
That's crazy to really think about because how highly we thought Mountain View, and it shows what losing 2 players can really do to your team.
Yeah, and they're defensive players. And and one of them is the best defensive player in the state, Jason Pogue, a linebacker. So that they need to have a good game, and if that's another one. If they win, it could really turn things around, and then Pogue rejoins them, and who knows, they could go on a winning streak. It's not a season-ending injury, from what I've been told. I've been told he can come back like in a week or two. So that's a big game, Cienega Mountain View.
Yeah. And also, I'm gonna throw a surpriser out there. I think this is a must-win for Buena and Marana, because a win from each of these teams puts them in the front row of leading to that state championships. 2 tough teams, and I don't know, Buena's super tough, so I'm super excited to see this one.
Yeah, we were talking about the Buena Marana. We were both at that game last year.
Yeah, it was close. Like you said, it was only the 3rd time they were not leading going into the 4th quarter.
Yeah, Buena led 35-28, I think it was, going into the 4th quarter, and they actually led after a field goal. They led midway through the 4th quarter by 3 points. and then Colton Meyer took them down and scored a touchdown.
Yeah.
And then Buena threw an interception there toward the end, and Morena sealed it. But that was a game where it felt like Buena was going to pull off the upset, especially when the field goal went in. They went up by 3 with about 6 minutes to go.
Yeah.
But that's too much time for Colton Meyer.
Yeah. No, he's been outstanding since last year, and it's been a pleasure to watch him.
Yeah.
And speaking of upsets, who are the 2 teams that are on upset watch this year or this week?
On upset watch, so let me take a look at the schedule here really quick. I would think, I think Desert View would take care of Maricopa. Maricopa is a good team, but it's at home. And I think Desert View goes 5-0. I think Flowing Wells goes 5-0. Carl Hayden's 1-3.
And we need to mention that, man. Flowing Wells is 4-0. They just beat a 5A Phoenix team. Oh, man, they've done amazing. That's like what you talked about. That's so awesome to see a school who's not normally recognized for football achieving what they're achieving right now.
I think, that's true. I think Pushridge at Thatcher, I don't know if that's so much of an upset if Thatcher wins because it's the far eastern end of the state. Yeah. And Thatcher's a good program.
I still think that would be a huge upset just because of the winning streak that Pushridge is on right now.
Yeah, they're on a 16-game winning streak. Or is it 17 now? I think
it's 17 now. I wonder, do you know what the record is?
For them?
Yeah, no, record for win streak for Arizona team.
I'm not sure, but that's a good question. I'm sure it's like much longer than that, but yeah. This is one of those things you're asking about, big win. If Pushridge goes into Thatcher and wins, I don't think they lose in the 3A East. I mean, I know they still have to play Sabino at Sabino, so that's another tough one. But to go into Thatcher and win a game like this, and then on the flip side, if Thatcher beats Pushridge, it kind of opens things up.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think that might be the upset because, like you said, the Pushridge has that long winning streak, so that might be the upset of the week.
Yep. And then going this next segment, we said we're a little deep into the season now. I want to know who's been your best quarterback, best offensive running back and receiver, and best defensive player.
Okay, so best quarterback.
Who's been the best quarterback for Southern Arizona?
I would have to say Colton Meyer still. The numbers he's putting up over 1,200 yards.
It's been amazing. They're freaking out. I'll look him up right now, but everything's been outstanding.
Yeah, he was a Doherty Award finalist last year. Not a finalist. He was a nominee. And he's going to be nominated again. I think him. I think the way Avalar was playing before last week, put him as one of the top.
Yeah. I just want to throw this in there. We're 4 games into the year, and Colton Myers has 1,278 passing yards.
Yeah, that's what I'm not great at math, but that's over 300 yards a game.
Yeah, and 14 touchdowns.
Yeah, and that offense just keeps on clicking. I know Coach Stewart was talking about that they're trying to get more guys that he can rely on to throw to, but I really like Sean Roebuck.
It's hard. Anytime you got a roadblock on the field, even in flag football, you got something special. You're definitely watching something incredible.
Yeah, if I don't have anything to do on Friday, I would go watch that Buena game because you're going to see so many good athletes on the field on both offense and defense,
and a lot of potential Division I players you're going to see at the next level as well.
Exactly. So what was he?
Running back now.
Running back, you got to look at like Lujan, the way the production he's had. Jaylee Abraham.
Yeah, that's the 1 and 2 right now. Like out of those two,
right.
Who's had the better season?
That's a tough one because look at Lujan's had 220 plus yard games.
Yeah, and watching him against Tucson's defense, he was unstoppable. Even when the game was. We all post a clip. I'll put a clip underneath. His emotions when he had that last touchdown, you could see there was nothing in the world that was going to stop that kid from scoring.
Yeah, he's a tough to tackle type of player, and he's a senior, so he's got some experience over Abraham. I really like Abraham though. I've liked him since he was playing in youth football and little league baseball. I was at the same school as him, middle school that he was attending, and he's just an amazing athlete. I think he's going to be one of those names we're going to talk about a lot. We're already talking about him a lot, but even more as
we got 2 more years of this.
When he's a junior and senior. Yeah, he visited the U of A already as a guest at one of the games. So they know what they do their homework. So
Then we'll
So
go.
yeah, I would think those two.
Yeah, then we'll go wide receiver.
Wide receiver, I really like Jaden Thomas at Buena. I don't know if he's got the best stats, but he's a heck of a receiver.
Yeah. And then the matchup with that would be Sean Roebuck and him.
Sean, yeah, that's going to be this Saturday or
Yeah.
Friday.
Yeah.
So that's going to be one game to see because like there's going to be a lot of talent.
Yeah,
on
we
that
keep
field.
saying it, guys. If you're not doing anything on Friday, go watch Buena versus Marana. You're basically getting a Division I game for the price of a high school ticket.
There's another super sophomore in that game, Ezra Spivey.
See what happens with that. Like after seeing what Lujan did last week and seeing Marana's defense for the past year and a half, I want to see what it's like seeing two heavyweights go at it like that.
Yeah, it's going to be fun to see. You guys are going to be there. Not quite sure what game I'm going to go to yet. I haven't had time to think about it. But I'm looking. I didn't get a chance to go to a game last week because I was moving, and there was a lot of stuff going on. But I'm looking forward to going to a game this week.
Yep.
But that'll be a game to watch.
Yeah, and then we'll go best defensive player so far.
Best defensive player, somebody with a lot of tackles. I'm trying to think. There's a lot of good ones. I like Cooper Cross. I like him at Buena. He's a force. I saw him. He had a lot to do with them beating Cienega, especially that last play where he was able to trip up Hanley before he got to the goal line. So I like Cooper Cross. I like Hayden Utley at Marana. I'm probably going to miss players, and I apologize.
We love you all, guys.
It's hard to remember off the top of my head, especially with my age. But yeah, I like those guys. I like those are guys I build my defense around.
Definitely. And then now we get into you're two. I think you're 2 for 4 now for picking the MVPs.
Yeah, I've really struggled the last couple of weeks.
Hey, that's 500 on betting odds, so that plays any time. But who's MVP of this week?
Let's see. We'll go at we'll see the Buena Marana game. Okay, I think it's going to be Sean Roebuck.
He's calling it.
Sean Roebuck's going to have a monster game.
Sean Roebuck. And then I'll throw this one too that we didn't do last week. Best defensive player of the week as well.
Defensive player of the week. Let's see here. I mentioned his name before, and I have a lot of respect for him. Dominic Drow.
Dominic Drow.
He's
Tucson High.
Yeah. So you want guys like that to succeed, and they're going to Vista Grande. It's a winnable game. He can really control them, Vista's Grande's offense, playing in the middle there in defense. He's their captain, right?
Yeah.
So I think he can do a lot to shut down Vista Grande there.
Yeah, and just so everyone knows this too, because I was looking it up, Colton Myers is only 110 yards from leading the state.
Oh yeah, and he was the leader of state last year.
Yeah, so he has a chance to be a 2-time state leader in passing. God, sign this guy to U of A. Sign this dude already.
I think for him, a good goal would be 4,000 yards. He came so close last week. He had like 3,600, almost 3,700.
Yeah.
So that could be a goal for him because he was the leading passer, and that offense suits him well.
Yeah.
Perfect type of offense for him.
Yep, loves to pass it. So to close this out, what's the statement going to be next week? The headline. So it could be something like Marana pulls through, Flowing Wells 5-0. The most likely headline there is going into next week.
Oh, most likely headlines will be Marana. Not Marana pulls through. It's going to be Marana wins another thriller against Buena. I think it's going to be a close game, and I think Buena, coming off that ALA Gilbert North blowout, I think they learned a lot in that game. I think they're going to come out strong, but I think Desert View starts 5-0 and Flowing Wells starts 5-0. I think those are two givens. I think because of who they're playing and the way they're playing, and the leaders that they have.
I would not expect, and this is no disrespect, it's amazing watching you guys do what you do. Who would have expected the 5-0 Flowing Wells?
Nobody, except for them. Yeah.
Yeah.
So we'll see how it goes as the year goes on. I hope they continue it on, and it doesn't where they lose a game and then they end up losing another game and so forth. So the more they win, I think the more schools like that win, the better it is for Southern Arizona.
We're making a name for ourselves now.
And Desert View is going to be Desert View is here to stay as long as those players stay at Desert View because they have quite a bit of good young talent.
Yeah,
They're going to be around for a while.
Desert View's 5A, correct?
Yes.
There's a chance we have that Desert View versus Miranda matchup in the playoffs.
Could happen.
Yeah. Who in that matchup, and this will be the last question, that matchup, and I know we're talking in the future, what do you think the headline of that would be, and who do you think would pull that one out?
Boy, I think it'll be a heck of a game because you got Desert View's running game and passing game. They have balance. And then you got Colton Meyer who can throw it all over the place. And then you have good defensive players.
Yeah.
I think that's going to be, one of those games that can go down to the last play. Desert View's that good. People might be like, oh, how good is Desert View? We know how good Moran is. But Desert View is that good just because of the amount of talent they have in there. I talked about this last week. They have that era of confidence that you need from a team. I was at when they were going to their practice last week, and I've never seen Bonilla smile that much.
Yeah.
Usually when they're about to practice or at practice, he's like the most serious guy, and he probably still was. But before that, he was like giving them high five and smiling when they're running out to the field. I haven't seen Bonillas like that before.
Yeah, being an undefeated team can help out with that.
So I think he knows what he has.
Yeah.
And he has a good coaching staff around him. So Marana, if the Marana plays Desert View, Marana better be ready. I mean, I know that people are thinking that, they went to the Open Division last year and now they're in 5A, so maybe they have a path now to win a state championship, not being in the Open Division anymore. But if they play a team like Desert View, it could be a real tough one.
Yep, that's good. That would be an exciting one. Wow, I can't wait to when the playoffs start so we can start doing predictions for that. But right now, in all reality, Southern Arizona football's back. It's been a great year so far, seeing all these outstanding athletes perform the way they are.
Some good stories, like Flowing Wells.
Yeah.
Some of the new fields, Pueblo and Sabino have new fields, so it brings like an air of excitement. All these sophomores that I've talked about that, we have something to look forward to.
Yeah.
Because these aren't only they're good. They're not only good players; they're great players. Yeah. They're explosive players. They're the type of players that can lead a push towards a deep run in playoffs when they're juniors and seniors.
Absolutely.
So there's quite a few of them. I'm gonna have to list them out because there's quite a few of them.
We will do that next week. As always, guys, every Wednesday at 5:45, make sure you tune in. Make sure to go like All Sports Tucson, their website, their Facebook, and Twitter. Also, their Instagram. Make sure to go check out the Jet Sports Network's Facebook. Yes, we are on Facebook now. Make sure you subscribe to the YouTube channel and follow the Instagram. Thank you, guys. Mr. Morales, as always, thank you, brother.
Thank you.
And we'll see you guys next week. Oh.